start. And we can get moving along. All I have is just some upcoming events that I want to bring up, make sure everybody is aware of. September 7th, that will be next Thursday. That is the next Photoshop class at IHOP, 7 o'clock. September 17th is the photo walk at Frick Museum. I believe that's scheduled for 10 a.m. I'm sure Jim will be sending out I think Jim's sending those out now, a reminder of the photo walk. Is that Jim? Is that you to send those out? Okay.
I have been, Brian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's scheduled to go out like the weekend before, I believe. But,
all right.
Yeah, 10 o'clock, you're correct. And since you brought it up, I did call them the other day just to see if there were any limitations on photography. And there are some. I hope it doesn't detract from people wanting to go, although it was kind of disappointing. You can take photos wherever you want on the grounds and in the various museums and the conservatory. The exception is the Clayton Mansion itself. Indoor photography is not permitted there. And no tripods anywhere.
Okay.
The good news is the admission is free unless you want to take an inside tour of the Clayton Mansion. And that's $20 for non-members, and you should get your tickets in advance. But that information will be in the notice.
Okay. All right. September 21st is the next talk about. September 11th is our regular meeting, and that will be custom brushes, and that is Margie. She's not on here for tonight for me to remind her, but she probably will not remember.
Oh, she knows. I already told her.
But she'll use not remembering as her excuse. Now, come on. Or is that today? And then our next SWG meeting for next month is light painting. And I see that we have, it had Beth and Alan with a question mark. So I guess you guys are talking or doing light painting. And is that one not, that's a in-person meeting, I believe, right?
I don't know.
It was supposed to be. I'm going to be questionable for that night because when we did the schedule, I didn't know that Nate was going to sign up to play middle school soccer. And all of their games are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that night is his last game of the season. So,
okay, we'll figure something out. I'm working on a guy up here in Uniontown that light paints huge places. And me and him's going to go do one together just to kind of get things together. And then I'm going to invite the club to go. And when I say huge places, he does like he went up and did the up in Confluence, the church up on top of the hill. If you're aware of
St. Mary's.
I don't know what the name of it is.
Talking about downtown
green roof in Confluence. Anyhow, I've photographed it a few times, and and it's a pretty cool church. He did that not too long ago. He went up and did that with it's not so much light painting as it is nighttime photography that he lights with a whole bunch of different flashes. He uses like 8 different flashes or 9 different flashes or 10 flashes, and he has the ability to set them off for us or for us to set them off from our camera and stuff like that. He also on occasion does steam trains, and they do like they'll stop a steam train on the tracks at night, and he'll do the light painting on it and light it up. And so I've been talking to him, and he's interested in doing one, but he wants him and I to go do it first just to kind of get the logistics of it. So I'm planning that for the fall, so not too long from now. But we're gonna pick a place and go do it. He had a couple places in mind. And then once we go do it and kind of get everything together and how we want to do it, then we're going to invite the group to come back and do it. So I'll be letting you guys know about that. I think that one will be a cool one. So that'll be kind of a add-on to a group outing, but I think it'll be an interesting one. And he's done this with as many as 20 or 25 people. So he's done it before. He just would rather, like I said, me and him go do it first, and then then we'll invite the club to come. So I've been working on that one. He's got a couple spots in mind that he wants to do. So, and I think you'll like any of the spots that he picks. So we'll try it out. I think he may have just done West Overton Museum too at night down there.
Cool.
So he's done a few of them, a few different places that are pretty cool. Get some amazing shots. So I'll let you know when that's coming up. Okay, that's all I have. That's all I was going to talk about.
I've got one item, Brian.
Okay, go right ahead.
Bob DeJesus isn't here tonight, at least not yet. So I'd prefer if he kind of talked about it. But so the Westmoreland Land Trust over the last few years have had us do some photography work for them as they've acquired different properties. And their most recent acquisition was the St. Xavier's School across Route 30 from Rex, if you will. They purchased that property sometime last year, and there's a building on site that they're renovating. And Bob's been doing, well, he did the before photography for the building, and I believe he's going to or has recently done the after photography for the renovation. But they've invited whoever wants to come from the club. They're having an open house on Saturday, September the 9th from 10 to 4. And you're welcome just to go to the open house. There, if you want to take photos, that would be great. We can share the photos with them. But the idea is they just wanted to share the open house experience. I'm not sure how many acres they have there, but it's a large piece of property, and they plan to turn at least a portion of it into natural space, maybe like hiking trails and meadows and whatnot. And then this renovated mansion, I think, is going to be on site. I don't know what they intend to do with it, but I assume it'll be open for tours and whatnot. But the open house is just to kind of show the public what's going on there. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Jim. What was the name of the place again? Just so I can write it down.
St. Xavier's. The high school, and only because Rex lives across the street, he may know, but somewhere within the last, I'm going to say 20 years, the school building burnt down and they shut it down.
Carol knows more about it than I do, but I think she said it was a girls' school at that time.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Anything else? Nope. Tonight, do we have tips and tricks tonight? Is that tonight?
It's supposed to be Marty.
Marty, are you ready for that, or you need some more time?
Well,
No,
I have a request, Marty, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, tonight you get to hear me twice. Once is with the in the news, and then I've got the presentation, if you will, in the photo book. So if I do the in the news segment first, that gives me a break. You can
That's
do
fine.
after that. Does
That's
that
fine.
work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one small one at the ready to show if there's some space for that. It's just the corrections that I made for Annie on a family image that had broken in two and had some cracks in it. I don't know. I have to do this on the smallest screen I have, but I'll give it a try. Don't laugh.
Okay.
If there's time.
Let's go through what we got, and if we get some extra time at the end, we'll throw you in there, Rex. Does that
Well,
work?
I was gonna say if he wants to take my spot, that's fine. Mine's just a video, so
That's fine. No, we'll
I
take it.
know how we like videos.
Well, hey. All right, Jim, do you want to do news then?
Yeah, let me get started with that.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, can you see Canon has designed a tilting viewfinder?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
This is the first one. I'm not sure why. Maybe other camera manufacturers have done this. Obviously, the large LCD screens on most cameras, I think today, are tiltable. But in this case, they're actually taking the viewfinder and enabling it to be tilted, which I thought was kind of a novel idea. I think it's just in the works now. That's not actually available on a camera model yet. But I just thought it's a kind of interest for you Canon users, that maybe the next Canon camera you have might be equipped with something like that.
Well, I have an idea that I can just throw out there, that in terms of usefulness, that sometimes when you try to use your tilt finder, the electronic screen on the back of the camera, that it's just so bright that if you're trying to use it in real time to take pictures, it's a real fight between you and the light and the reflections and what you're trying to get an image of. So I would think that having a tilting finder is a pretty good idea. I'm interested in how far it actually tilts. Like if it tilts all the way up, that makes it a waist level finder. And us people from the past know using the waist level finders can be very useful. It's almost like being able to turn your cell phone upside down and take a picture of a flower from the ground up. So you can do the same thing with your R series cameras, I guess.
Well, Rex, as far as how far it tilts, and it's just a sketch at this point, but you can see there, it
Looks
doesn't
almost
look
90 degrees.
close to completely vertical, but it's darn close.
Yeah, it looks like 80, something like that. But yeah, we'd have to see.
Yep, good comment.
Yeah, nice idea.
Okay, so this next one, I was hoping Bob DeJesus was going to be on tonight, because I have no familiarity with Sony cameras, and I'm not sure anybody else. Is that, oh, wait, Suzanne, you use a Sony, don't you?
Yes, I do, but it's not mirrorless.
Okay.
I have the last DSLR they made.
Okay. Well, I've not kept up with their various models, but they're coming out with these two new versions of the camera. And there's a couple of specs here. So the A7C II is a follow-up apparently to the A7C. It's a 33 megapixel sensor. It's $2,200. So it's one of their better cameras apparently, based on the pricing. And then the A7CR is at $3,000. It's 61 megapixel. And I read through the article, and it tells you the pros and cons of the camera. I'm not familiar with it, so if anyone's interested, I'll put links to all these articles in the chat box here once I'm done. I did see an article the other day from Petapixel, and the guy was kind of commenting, and there was a photograph of all of the current models that Sony is producing, current models. And there must have been 15 different camera bodies or so in the photograph. And the subject of the article was, does Sony really need to have so many different types of camera bodies available? Of course, they range from low end to high end, but it did seem like it was an awful lot. Just a comment. So we've talked about this subject before. A federal judge recently ruled that AI images cannot be copyrighted. And this was a follow-up. You might recognize this photo. It was this particular photo that has been going through the legal process for at least a couple of years now. And I think we've talked about this one before. But the patent office eventually turned this photographer down as far as being able to copyright that. And he took it to court. And so this, and it said a federal judge, I'm not sure it was a U.S. State's District Court. So whether that's the end of the story or not, that's where it currently is right now. The AI images cannot be copyrighted in the US anyway.
It's not quite that simple.
Oh, go ahead, DL.
Yeah, what they had decided was it depends on how much you do with the image. So it could, even though it was initially generated by AI, if you've done some Photoshop work on it, it can be copyrighted. They haven't determined what that level is, but yeah, it's a mess.
Is this
Well,
gonna
you know
be
what?
like the I know it when I see it kind of definition?
I have no idea. I don't think they really know. It's
No.
I don't know.
Well, DL, perhaps you're referring to this bottom sentence here. The Copyright Office does clarify that AI assisted material can qualify for protection if a human, quote, selected or arranged it in a sufficiently creative way that the resulting work constitutes an original work of authorship. Now, what that means, I have absolutely no idea, but apparently there's an out here.
Yeah, it sounds like word salad to me.
Yeah. So I guess that's one of those stay tuned.
Yeah.
This is just a spurious thought, but in the spirit of metadata, if the metadata could keep track of how much was AI and how much did you do, how much came from your camera or your art brush, and how much came from AI, that it keeps a record of 30-50, 30-70, 50-50. Where's the break line? If it's 60-70% AI, is it not copyrightable? Just an idea that
Yeah, but the
I'm throwing
metadata
out.
is still vulnerable.
Oh, well, in what way vulnerable? You mean somebody can fiddle with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can see it, you can change it. You can run it through another program that will erase all of it.
Well, Canon already makes a forensic software, hardware device that when you take an image with that camera and that software and device, that it's the best I can use is the word forensic. It's forensic in a court. It can be used in court as bona fide information. So, I mean, you might have to look it up because it's been a while since I've heard. Oh, go ahead.
That would work for the raw image that you took.
Yeah.
However, if I were to take that raw image and run it through, I don't know, Microsoft Paint to make it a BMP, then drop that into something else to make it a JPEG, that metadata is gone.
Yeah, it's been it's been spun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for the comments, guys. So the subject of restoring old photos have come up over the last couple of months or so. And at the same time, Photoshop came out with the generative fill. Well, apparently its methodology can almost take restoring the old photos and make it instantaneously fixed, if you will, as opposed to doing a bunch of manual edits on the image. And this is just a kind of before and after image of this particular fella who took the photo on the left use the generative fill. He selected basically all of the pieces of the photo that were damaged, if you will. And Photoshop took over and did its magic in a matter of seconds. So
Does he say if he did all at one time or did it piece by piece?
I thought the way I read it that he did it all at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to mention to DL that I watched the video that he had sent to, I think, a couple of us, and I had to load Adobe Photoshop beta version in order to use it, and my computer wouldn't take it. It's too old. So I'll just have to, maybe I'll show you later on this evening, if I take a turn here, how I just do it. It's not that difficult really, but I couldn't get it to go automatic.
So
Rex,
Rob,
I'll email you
go
my
ahead,
number
DL.
and we'll talk. We'll get your computer fixed up.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Rob, to answer your question, he used the lasso tool to select all the areas of the photo that were damaged. And once the button is clicked, he said it was fixed in a matter of seconds. So,
Wow.
in fact, it
Very
was that
impressive.
easy. That's what it says.
I've never used the generative fill on I always do one at a time. I guess I could try it multiple. I never did that. Just curious how it would work.
Yeah.
That thing right there in the middle of the screen, right above it, is a video you can play. I bet you that shows it working. See if it'll let you click on that.
Oh, wait,
There
hold
it
on.
goes.
Try and get it.
Little lasso thing.
Hold
It's
on.
working.
Let me do this again. It's showing it.
Yeah.
Let me expand it.
Oh, so he pretty much did it. He didn't do individual ones. He did it all together. Huh.
Wow.
Wow.
Like magic.
Wow, even took spots out. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
There you go.
It's going to take me a little longer.
We got to work on your computer, Rex. we can't have you sitting in front of it for 20, 30 minutes a clip.
And I have one of these coal-fired computers that.
That's I'm glad you spotted that, Brian. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. Okay, there's a few here on different photography awards and whatnot. So since I guess it was last month's meeting was on iPhone, well, not iPhone, but smartphone photography. This is the 2023 iPhone Photography Awards. And I believe that's the winner. I love that composition. That just looks awesome. That looks like it could have been at the National Aviary or the Pittsburgh Zoo, I guess.
Mm.
Actually, I hadn't thought about this when I looked at this photo before. There's nothing wrong with the photo. It's a nice photo. By the same token, I suspect there's a zillion of these because any of us who have gone to the aviary have a photo probably similar to that. And I guess I wonder why that one stood out so much. Any comments on that? Does that look unique in any way?
I mean, I like the color contrast. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what makes it special, more special than any other flamingo picture. but-
Yeah.
Maybe the fact that they're all looking away.
Right, it makes you wonder what they're looking at.
I'll put my 2 cents in. There's a lot of interest at the bottom, and that's a nice background, but somehow it's like there's a lot of one, it's just divided up 50%. Like if they had almost taken all of the background off down to the tops of the birds, that might have been a good picture, even if it was in square format, if you know what I mean. I just see that that's a whole lot of space up above that is kind of interesting, and that kind of really doesn't make for a 10 in a contest of any kind. But the lower half of it is very interesting. Enough said.
Maybe they didn't have a lot to choose from.
You know,
Oh, that's pattern. Repeat. That's very good.
that's just cute.
Jim, I almost told you on that little girl's feet. I almost said, hey, you need to push it down so I can see the rest of the picture.
No, you didn't miss anything, Marty.
Oh, lack of sleep.
Looks 50-ish, 60-ish. Looks like it seems to have a date time to it, to the image.
It looks like a Kodachrome print.
Kodachrome, yeah, it's brighter like Kodachrome, but the blue makes me think of Ektachrome.
Yeah.
Mm. That's cool.
I think that's Beth's with her.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't. What's your lens, Beth?
What, the lens babies?
Yeah, it looks like something Beth would take. It's really interesting.
For some reason, I like this one. It's very stark in my mind. It's we talked about people in photographs the other month. If it wasn't in black and white, I'm not sure that's the most interesting photo, but black and white kind of makes it look cool. It's quite the TV.
That's cool.
That's nice. That's it. Then this next one, I'm not sure what y'all think about this, but the photographer who did this, I thought they were pretty clever. So, well, you kind of just see what they're doing here. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would have never thought about that composition, but that's cool.
It's fashion.
And the theme kind of continues. They're interesting. I think. How clever is that?
Hmm.
You hear stories of people wanting to develop a style for their photography. Well, this person has obviously got a style for theirs.
Mhm.
I think there's some AI going on here.
Pardon me, Rex?
I think that there's some AI going on here looking at some of these things like this.
Well, I didn't read it, but I didn't think so.
Well, I know that, like the one that you just had up there above it, yeah, Photoshop in its some of its image catalogs has the capabilities of producing that kind of form, those kind of forms. But this one is complicated enough that it looks like much more is involved. And I just noticed that there's a second person in there too,
Yep.
in the far end of it. It's interesting. It's very interesting, but it conjures up AI in my mind now that that's on our minds.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why you thought that previous photo, but everything else, I think it's just a matter of costuming and placement.
Oh, that part of it, yeah, that is clever. That's very high art, high fashion art. Creative, very creative. There is a theme though. There's a whole theme to everything we're looking
Yeah,
at.
definitely.
There's a lot of wit to it.
Yeah. I mean, you give them credit, whether it's an actual untouched photograph, straight out of the camera, or whether it's AI, the idea behind the compositions are really, really awesome, I think.
Yeah. Where does creativity begin and end? It's infinite.
Yeah. That's it. I thought that was pretty cool. And I couldn't resist a third one. I'm sorry. These are black and white photo awards.
Beautiful.
I didn't know. Is that a gorilla? I don't think it's a gorilla. It's not a gorilla. Whatever it is, it had its hair.
I think it's an
Yeah.
Orangutan.
Yeah.
baboon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
It looks like its hair was
A gibbon?
blow dried for this.
It's a
I was
baboon.
going to go with a gibbon, like those ones that are
Maybe. Yeah.
the orange.
I don't know. It makes me feel like that's what I look like right now.
Yep.
It looks tired.
Let me see it. It doesn't tell you. No, I don't see any information on what type of a primate it is. This one, when I looked at it, to be honest, I couldn't figure out exactly how this one was staged and what's in front of the woman or around the woman, if you will.
Oh, is she behind glass that's been smeared with that stuff?
Okay, it's possible.
Is it a double exposure?
See, it doesn't tell you anything about the photos, so you're on your own to figure that one out, I guess.
Some
It almost looks like
masking,
she's
maybe.
behind glass that had been smeared with something.
So Pat and I were in Ottawa last year. And I don't remember seeing the street lights aligned like this, but for some exhibit years ago, they had these special lights put on, particularly for it, and now they're not used for any purpose. But I remember seeing them. I just don't remember seeing them in a lineup like that, but that's kind of cool looking. And it's not until you see the bottom of this one, you even figure out what you're looking at. But that's a spiral staircase somewhere. But again, the silhouetted person kind of makes the photo too. That looks like something out of a Disney cartoon. That's a cool composition. Has anybody been to New York to see this Oculus building?
Yeah, I have twice. It's huge. It feels like you're like in a rib cage of like a whale. It's crazy. It is very, very cool.
Yeah, I've seen some photos. It was kind of an impressive looking structure.
Yeah, from the outside, it's pretty neat. And I mean, inside and outside, it's a pretty cool building.
I assume, well, it could be from a bridge, but I assume that's a drone shot. Moody street photo. So you wonder if that's a double exposure or not.
It could just be a really long one with the accordion player like freezing.
Oh, you know what, Beth? Looking at his face, I've been to cities where street performers do the mannequin type stillness, if you will.
Yeah.
That could be it.
Yeah, they're usually painted in like all silver and they don't move.
Yeah, and that's what this guy looks like.
Yeah.
I don't know if, well, something tells me it's not San Francisco based on the way the cars look, but that looks like a street scene from San Francisco.
There's a couple places on Mount Washington that look like that too.
Well, yeah. That's a spooky looking photo to me. That's cool perspective. So I didn't think about this one before, but with that much, I'm not sure if the correct term is perspective distortion, like you would expect with a wide angle lens. That would suggest that the person who took this photo was awfully close to the elephant, which doesn't seem practical in that situation.
Maybe it's at a zoo.
Oh, okay.
At least a
Zookeeper?
preserve or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, DL. Good suggestion. That might be right. Marty might like this one.
That's cool.
Right place, right time. This one, I had to look at the, oh, actually, no, maybe I'm wrong. I thought this was underwater, but there's the, I don't know, must be like
What's
a
that,
cave.
sand?
Thought those were light beams coming down through. Underwater.
I think those are
cathedral.
light beams coming through water, and that's the bottom of the ocean with the sand at the bottom.
So
that
you're saying this is sand?
Yeah, because that doesn't quite look like water. Because it's not regular enough.
Oh, okay. Whoop.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it before, so.
Mhm. I think that's it. Yep. Okay. These next two are kind of connected to each other. Earlier in the month, there was this article that and I don't have any statistics. There's no statistics that are in the article itself, but that Sandisk has been having some reliability issues with their portable SSDs. And in a subsequent article, this was a recommended model by Petapixel last year. In a subsequent article, they basically said we can no longer recommend this this SSD. Apparently, Western Digital did put out some type of a firmware update for their 4 terabyte SSDs to fix at least part of the bug, I guess, that they think maybe is affecting them. But so DL, since you're kind of a tech guru, can you add anything to this?
Back up your data. Flat out, back up your data. Until they get this straightened out, don't use them. Don't trust them.
Yeah. And then the follow-up article is they came out with this, since they no longer recommended Sandisk, who would they recommend now in 2023? And the one that I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom because I forget their name here. For a USB connection, it's this Crucial X10 Pro. And then for a Thunderbolt connection, it's LaCie. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, they've been making monitors for years and years, and they're really expensive, and I think they're really good.
Okay. So again, I'll have a link. You can read they do kind of a step-by-step evaluation of all of them. So you can take a look at that. That's all I got.
I was going to say, I have a Western Digital hard drive. It's just a tiny one. It's 512 gigabytes. And I can't remember when I bought it. And I've taken it everywhere. And, it could fail while I'm talking. But it's just been a wonderful little device. It's continued to work all these years. And it's actually, yeah, back it up. It is. It's definitely, yes, sir. It definitely is.
No, the thing that scares me, really, what scares me is that, like you said, you've had it for a bunch of years.
Yes,
it's fine. It's going to die. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Not a question of will it or won't it. It's a question of when.
Yeah, you know what? Another thing, it's not, I guess, in everybody's venue, but it's like an automobile you know, and two people buy the same kind of automobile and they drive it differently. One drives it on the back roads and they're hard on it, you know, um, like these hard drives and these external hard drives. You throw it in a case, you take it with you, or like myself, it sits on the table for most of those years and it doesn't get rattled like somebody else's who's exactly the same machine. So these ones that they're talking about that they're not guaranteeing anymore, I'm thinking, what kind of a life did they have? You know, did they ever get dropped? Did they sit in the back of the car in the trunk of a say like a Jeep vehicle that's not going to ride like a Lincoln town car? You know, they ride differently. The vibrations are different. The number of days that it sits on a desk and the number of days it's in your backpack being dropped somewhere, that kind of thing. In other words, simply how it's handled can have a lot to do with it. Now, I'm guessing that what they're saying is that even when it gets a normal use, that it fails. Something's wrong with it. But
it sounds to me like something happened with some of the firmware on that device, and it's failing. So they're saying flat out, don't trust it.
Yeah,
I get it. Something else.
You know, one question that can be posed is, do you really need a high expensive SSD drive for just a regular routine backup with a regular disk drive? I have 2 disk drive, you know, just the old standard for backups, and they work well, but the cost is less than an SDE drive. So I pose that question. Well, what do you think, DL? Do you really need an SSD drive for just a routine backup, or can you just use a regular hard drive, you know, less expensive?
I don't know if I can show it. This is it. This is it.
Yeah,
and I've got it. It's wired into this.
The cost of an SSD, they're so inexpensive right now. Just go get an SSD. They'll be faster.
Multiple drives anyway.
They'll handle more drops because it's all solid state as opposed to a mechanical hard drive. If you're storing a lot of data, you're still better off with a mechanical hard drive.
You also have to consider what you're doing with your hard drive. As Rick said, if it's going to sit on your desk forever, then a mechanical hard drive is probably an okay way to go. But if it's something you're carrying with you and you got it in your backpack and you got it in your work bag and you're taking it to work and you're bringing it home and you're taking it here and you're taking it there, an SSD drive is definitely a better option. And as DL said, it really doesn't matter what it is. There's a good chance it's going to fail. So you need to have a backup. And I don't care if it's a $60 hard drive or a $6,000 hard drive. It's going to fail. It's something.
So working in the enterprise,
we
plan for it.
Yeah.
Every 5 or 6 years, we're going to go and sweep through all the servers. Whatever drives in there comes out. New drives go in.
Yeah. So no matter what your hard drive is, back it up, have a copy of it, have a second copy of that.
Another 1 or 2 isn't bad.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. And
backblaze.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I have over here. I have 2 5 terabyte hard drives, one I'm feeding in and out on one side and one feeding in and out on the other. And I do, when it's really what I feel is really important stuff to keep, I make sure that I move it over to the backup drive. I have an E and an H, and I have the E is I use all the time. And when I have something I absolutely want to make sure I have, I put it over here in H, in the H drive. So they're mechanical. They're mechanical hard drives.
Even more importantly than that, the stuff that you're absolutely want to make sure you have a copy of, I recommend it not be connected to your computer.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you can pull the plug on it.
If you get something goes wrong with your computer and your computer fries, maybe it fries your hard drives too. If it fries both your hard drives, you've lost everything. So, I mean,
if it's really, really important, take a drive, put it on a drive, and then send that out of your house. Take it to your neighbor's house, your friend's house down the
Yeah.
street, something.
Yeah.
External.
And anytime before, when I worked with people and I did client work and stuff like that, the client's stuff was on its own hard drive, and that hard drive actually went, I kept it in a safe deposit box in a bank. Because
Works too.
once I was done and I made a copy of that, then that copy went to the bank and I didn't have to worry about it. It was somewhere that if my house burned down, I didn't lose all my material. You've got to back up your backup, your backup. So anyhow, we've talked about hard drives before, and like DL said, and like I said, it don't matter what hard drive it is. It's not a matter of if it's gonna fail. It's a matter of when. No matter how much you paid for it, how much you didn't pay for it, they go bad. Same thing with camera cards. Suzanne, me and Suzanne was down at the Steam show, and she had a camera card, and it was bad. I mean, I don't know if you got it to work later, Suzanne, or not, but we couldn't get it to work.
Yeah,
It would work a little bit
eventually-
and then stop.
Yeah, it did work, and I've since used it, and it's okay, but I don't trust it, you
Yeah.
know.
And for the
Yeah.
price of a new camera card, don't fool with it. Go buy a new one. You know.
Yeah.
$15.
$15 for a 64 gig card.
Yeah.
$10 for a 32 gig card.
Yeah.
Just get it.
I mean, I run.
Well, I'm not in business.
But they're like $40 now or $50. They used to be,
Yeah.
for $400, and I just go replace it once in a while. So anyhow,
Well, we're not in business anymore, but in the same vein, when we were going to do something important as a wedding or a commercial shoot or a family that we had to travel to, and it was a very important activity, that we always made sure that we had at least 2 cameras. For a while, we actually had 4 because we were using both digital and we were using film primarily, and we had small digital until we eventually went to digital. And then we still always had at least 2 cameras and extra cards and extra batteries and extra flashes with us, for the very same reason you're saying, disconnect it and keep it separate. Same thing. 2 complete separate devices to get the job done or to protect the job.
yeah, absolutely. And the same thing. I mean, with your hard drives, have 2 of them. They're really not that expensive. Lacy 5 terabyte USB 3.2 Type C, $164 at B&H Photo
Mhm.
for a 5 terabyte hard drive. I can remember when that would have been $5,000 or more. And so here's the rugged that they were just talking about. It's a 2 terabyte rugged SSD Pro Thunderbolt for $269.99. 4 terabytes, $549.
I'm naive on that Thunderbolt. Does Thunderbolt just work with Apple?
The Thunderbolt. I don't know. DL, do they do Thunderbolts on PCs now?
Yeah, they do it a lot.
Okay.
It's becoming popular. USB 4 is Thunderbolt 4.
I have a what I guess you call the Thunderbolt or the Rocket, whatever it is, that plugs into the bottom of the phone, and then it has USB on the other end that can go into my Microsoft laptop.
No, that's a little different.
PC, I mean.
A Thunderbolt drive, the Thunderbolt connects
Thunderbolt's a
a lot
protocol.
faster.
Hmm.
It's a faster transfer, really.
And compatible only among devices that belong to Apple.
Not anymore,
No.
no. But you have to have Thunderbolt connections on your computer.
Okay, along the side of the computer would be
Yeah.
an output in and output for Thunderbolt.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Thunderbolt
All right,
is
Jim,
basically
or,
networking over PCIe.
What
Thunderbolt
was
is
that?
basically networking over PCIe. It's just very fast.
What was that, Beth? You had something there? What's that?
Thunderbolt adapter, because my new computer doesn't have any actual USBs. It's all Thunderbolt.
Yeah, all the Macs are now Thunderbolt.
Yeah. Which is actually why my scanner doesn't work. So
Yeah. All right, Marty, are you ready to do your
Sure.
thing?
Sure. I can do that. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick little video. Actually, Margie kind of helped me out by sending it to me. Since I spent I was at the hospital with Daniel for probably, well, from 7 until 5 this morning, so 12 or 10 hours. So, and then I didn't feel like doing anything today. This one is using your cell phone with a macro to take water drops on flowers. So it's pretty interesting.
I'm not getting a full. Oh, here we go. Okay.
You see the trees?
Now,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah, I was getting a
Okay.
really tiny picture and it said open Zoom. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, I hadn't opened the video yet.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Here we go.
Mhm.
Sunny day. The wisteria flowers are blooming. The cherry blossoms are beginning to drop their petals, and the pansies just got
Can you hear it?
from spring.
Barely.
No.
That's what I thought. Hold on.
I have always loved photographing water drops on plants or
Yeah, I
spiderweeds.
gotta figure out how to
Best
do
time
it.
of
Sorry,
day to do
guys.
that is early in the morning.
All right. Here we go.
When you first share your screen, hit the share audio button down at the bottom.
All right. Well, let me stop share. We'll start over.
Yeah. When you hit the share screen down at the bottom, it says share audio or share computer audio or something like that. Make sure you click on that.
Okay, and you'll probably hear music in the background because I'm down here with Daniel because Bob's not home, so I apologize for that as well. So let's try this again. Oh, I gotta find myself here. Where did I go? There I am. All right, share screen. Share. Yeah, it's not doing it.
You've shared your screen.
Okay, I'm trying to find that button that he was saying about.
Share audio.
It's before you hit
have-
share.
Before I hit.
Yeah, when you hit the share screen, a little pop-up comes up.
Uh-huh.
What screen do you want to share?
Mhm.
If you look right at the bottom of that pop-up, there's a check mark that you can check that says share audio.
Uh-huh.
Share sound is what it says.
Share screen. Well.
on the bottom left of the box that comes up, it's really small. It says share sound and optimize for video clip.
Uh-huh.
It's the extreme bottom left corner.
Under, if there's a little caret beside mute.
Got it. I was looking in the wrong screen. Sorry. I apologize, everyone. It's like, I know I did this before. Okay. Now, do you see everything? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's try it now.
You have
No,
to
woman.
turn the sound up too.
Yeah, you have it
Oh.
mute now.
There you
It's
go.
got a good soaking from the sprinkler system in the
Any
garden.
better?
Yep.
Yeah. It's-
Okay.
I've always loved photographing water drops on plants or spider webs, and the best time of day to do that is early in the morning. If it's a sunny day, it's ideal to take the
Oh,
photos in shady
sorry.
areas. The highlights in the water drops will still be quite intense, but you can work to try and minimize them by changing the position of your lens. I take a little time and pay attention to how the drops interact with the light. Not every grouping of water drops is suitable for a photograph. The drops themselves might be beautiful, but perhaps the composition in the frame isn't quite right. Once you do find a good set, the results are captivating. I have tried capturing water drops like these with my big camera, but I struggle to depict them in the same way. There's so much more of the background in view because with my 100mm lens, I can't get quite as close as I would like.
That's
Of course,
okay.
there are ways you can manage to do that with extension tubes, a different lens, or a larger subject, but it's so convenient and fun for me to use my phone and little macro lens attached. With flower petals, especially ones as delicate and fine as pansies with all that character in their curves, you can get many different compositions and looks with just a few flowers. But it is also helpful to angle the lens at water drops that sit in a line on the edge of a petal. This gives definition to the water drops, but also the way the light shines through the drops gives more visual interest than looking at a drop where you can only see through to the petal behind it. There are countless opportunities. You can play with refraction and reflections from the drops and bokeh in the background, or try various compositions with the shapes of the petals and depth of field. If I ever get a close-up of the center of a pansy, I like to find one with unique qualities like this one. One petal is curving inward towards the center of the flower. I also angle the lens so you have a view of the flower that is not straight on. I've had a wonderful time with these. Thank you all so much for watching and for the lovely comments on every video. Have fun out there with your camera and I'll see you next time.
So I know that a lot of the newer cameras or cell phones have awesome cameras on them where you can do the macro and stuff. I have a 12 Pro Max and my macro on there, sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it won't. So there are lenses that you can purchase to put on your camera. And they're fairly reasonable. Oh, that stupid bar there. The buyer's guide, excuse me, has recommended this yep, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, lens, and it was running at $40 on Amazon, and it comes with the little light that is chargeable. It has 3 different settings, and the macro, you can clip it on to your camera. And then the other ones that they have are different. Some are like 3-in-1s, and there's a couple that you could get multiple lenses as well. You can get, you know, your wide angle, your your macro, and different lenses. So you just kind of have to look through and decide like which ones you would want to add to your phone. And so there was a little video on that first.
In this video, I'm going over the Zenvo Pro Lens Kit for smartphones, but we're specifically going to be going over the macro lens, which is the smaller portion of this lens right here. So all we have to do is screw this top part off here, which is the wide angle lens, and there we go. That is the macro lens. So let's throw it on the phone and let's test it out, see how the quality looks, and see how good it looks coming out of a smartphone. I'm using the iPhone 10 right now, so this will be fun. So here is the wide angle lens, and we are using the macro lens to showcase it. And it looks incredible coming out of this iPhone. Look at the close-up detail coming out of this thing. It looks great. So now we've got some flowers out front that we're gonna go take a look at, and I'm gonna show you guys what we can get from them. So we're approaching the flowers now. Let's take a look even closer. Wow, look at that detail coming out of a smartphone. That's just incredible, guys. I mean, like, seriously, to get something like this out of a smartphone is absolutely insane. So if you guys are looking for a great macro lens for your smartphone, this Zenvo kit is phenomenal. Look at the detail that we are pulling out of it. This is just absolutely insane. And this is what we were looking at. So you can pull some very detailed close-ups out of this lens here. So if you're looking for a great lens option for your smartphone, this Zenvo kit is a great option. And we didn't even look at the wide angle lens, which is just as incredible. So if you guys do grab this kit, you will not be disappointed.
All right, so there you go. That's mine. It's short and sweet. Sorry, guys. All right.
Thank you, Marty.
Yes,
Thanks, Marty.
it was kind of boring.
No, that was cool.
Good.
I do like the macro, that video with the water drops. That was pretty cool.
Those of you with the iPhones, have you tried the macro photography with them? They'll get close. They get really close.
I have, but like I had the 6S, and I think those came out much better than my 12.
Now I have the 14, and it's pretty amazing for close up. Really, it's a little annoying though the way they have it set up because it goes to macro automatically.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I would rather like click a button and make it go to macro, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
And it could be the user, you know. I know they say that you shouldn't zoom in, and sometimes I do because if it's a small subject, I try to zoom in on it. And then when you zoom in, it gets pixelated. So it could be the user operator error. So
My background, I just did with my phone, just sitting here because that's the only thing I had sitting around. It's a pair of those fingerless gloves. So that's knit, and that's how close it got.
That's cool.
Very good.
All right, Jim. Thank
Okay.
you, Marty, once again. And Jim's going to show us or talk to us about putting a photo book together.
Yep. Hey, Bob, before I get started, Bob DeJesus, just to let you know, I think it was before you got on the call, I did mention the Westmoreland Land Trust and the open house at St. Xavier's. I think
I'm not sure he's with us here.
I
Bob,
forgot.
I hope you're okay.
Dr. Jesus.
Sorry, I forgot to mention too. I told Margie I would. She posted that video about the bird props on Reddit. So if anybody wanted to watch that, we talked about it at our talk about, and we said we would post it. So it's on Reddit if you want to watch it.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I'm going to start off with just a few slides. No. There we go. So part of this is going to be a request for you to consider printing your photographs. And later on, I'll actually just show an example of photo book that I've put together. But so why print your photos? This quote is attributed to Ansel Adams. A photograph isn't a photograph until it's printed. In other words, get the image files off your computer and do something with them. I used this slide in a presentation back sometime earlier this year when we were talking about file management, I guess. But so the question is, what would you rather have? If you inherited, someone passed away, a friend or relative, and what would you rather get from them? A bunch of computer files on a drive or in the cloud, or perhaps a photo book or album or prints from that individual? So what photos should you print? It can start with just, and I kind of actually do this as a habit, if you will. any photo shoot that I have, I pick out the 3 best and print them out. If nothing else, just 4x6, and I stick them in an album. And then the second would be printing enlargements of a few photos each year, maybe for entry in our shows, which obviously most of you do, or perhaps for a photo contest, maybe a gift for someone that you know, or just home decoration. And then what I'm going to talk about this evening is considering printing a photo book of your photos. And there's different themes that you could pick from. My example is going to be photos of the year. Since for the last over 5 years, each year at the end of the year, I go ahead and upload what I consider my best or favorite photos from the year and print on a photo book. And I'm going to show you that process here shortly. The other thing you can do, and perhaps many of you already do this, is you go on a special vacation and you make a photo book of the photos just from that particular trip. Or it could be photos of a special occasion. Maybe it's a child's graduation or birthday party or wedding or whatever it happens to be. And then if you happen to have any personal projects, photos of a favorite topic that you happen to have. I'm going to pick on Suzanne, if you will. She's been showing us, over the last number of months now, she's gotten really good at bird photography. I think for Suzanne, a perfect example would be a bird book, if you will. So this is basically my process for producing an annual best of my photos. So I use a virtual album, and in my case, it's in Capture One. Lightroom has that capability. I imagine any other post-processing catalog type program has it, but just each time I have a photo shoot, I go ahead and select 1 or 3 of the best photos from that shoot and put them in that collection so that I have them at the end of the year. I don't have to go through a whole year's worth of photos at one time to select the photos that I want for the photo book. And then the next thing I need to do is, when it's time to actually make up the book itself, is I might have accumulated, just to make up numbers, let's say 120 best photos throughout the year. Well, I know, at least in my case, I don't want to print out all 120 of those photos. So I will go through the best photos and picked out the best of the best, if you will, to go ahead and include in the photo book. And last year, I think I ended up with 60 some photos in the photo book. And prior years, it might have been a little more, a little less, but let's say around 50 photos for the year that I consider good enough to put in the photo book. And then the next step is I upload those photos to an online site. I happen to use Shutterfly, and I'll show you later, there's a whole slew of online companies you can work with to produce a photo book. And then once you're online in that particular site, you select a photo book design and layout for the photos, and then you populate the book with those photos, and you can add text to each of the photos if you like. It's not necessary. And then basically order a printed copy of the book. For my best photos of the year photo book, I have categories based on the type of photos that I like to take. So I have a catch-all category that I just call general interest photos. And then I have a landscape category, street photography photos, close-up photos. I call them close-up because for the most part, I really don't take what I think most people would consider macro photos. Black and white photos, some personal favorites of the grandkids, and then what I call accomplishments. If I had any of my photos selected for a contest, I'll put those in there as well. And here's a list and I'm sure this is not an extensive list, but it's a list I put together of online providers. And of course, Shutterfly is the one I'm going to show you. Snapfish does it, Peekaboo, Mixbook, Blurb, Photobook America, MPEX, and sold digital. I'm sure there's a lot others. And of course, the next question is, what does it cost to print a photo book? And that's going to depend an awful lot on the options that you select. The size of the book, the layout of the book, the number of pages, the cover design, the page style, and the binding style. And I think there's one hiding there, color printing spec. What did I do here? There we go. So for my 2022 book, and at least on Shutterfly, I don't think they ever charge you the listed price for these things. I think there's always discounts at play here. For this particular book for 2022, the basic book was 20 pages, 11 by 14 in size. So it's a nice size book. The photos that I normally just put either one or two photos on a page. So they're fairly large copies of the photos or prints of the photos. And in this case, I added 17 additional pages in order to get, so I had 65 photos in the book total. And for the first time, I paid extra for lay flat binding, which is when the book opens up completely flat. You can do like an entire spread if you want to. There's a specialized version of that in Shutterfly that costs more. I got the poor man's version, and I probably would not do it again. It seems a little bit flimsy to me. I'm afraid the book's going to fall apart at some point. So the total without shipping was $137. And here's some reference YouTube videos. There's this fellow, the photo book guru, Stephen Wyatt. And I found a number of videos he has available that's about how to create photo books. He does comparisons between companies. In this case, he did a review on Shutterfly itself. And then this happens to be a tutorial on how to use the Shutterfly editor to produce the photo book. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Shutterfly and just show you a few features of what's available. But before I do that, I'm just curious, anybody want to talk about their experience? Anybody else like printing on a routine basis?
I've done a couple, but nothing, I can't really say routine.
Okay.
I should.
Yeah, I think I'm lazy and disorganized.
It's not hard to do,
That's
let me
me.
tell you that.
No.
I have 4x6s printed when I shoot film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I try to do it once a year. I use Blurb, B-L-U-R-B. And I mean, it's not very seamless, but still it seems to work and not that expensive. It's around $30, $40 after shipping. But that's for a small, not a flat, excuse me, not for a flat big book. 8 by 10s, that would be more like $60 for around 25 photos or so.
Yeah, the problem is that the price does add up as you add pages. Anybody else? Okay. Well, hopefully we can at least get you thinking about whether you want to try it or not. So this is the home page for Shutterfly for their photo book section. And you can see here, Labor Day sale, 50% off almost anything, almost everything. I'm sorry. It's out of the way here. And so they're showing 3 ways to create the book, if you will. I do mine completely manually. There's a make it fast version, which it can populate the book for you based on like standard formats. And then there's one where you feed them the photos and they make the book for you. I assume it gets progressively more expensive. I never priced out the other two. I just do mine manually. Oh, here's kind of an example. So this first one is the standard, what I call gutter design, and that's how my previous photo books were. And the only thing you need to be caution about, like this one, they did one photo between the two pages, and you lose a portion of the photo in the gutter. As you'll see as we go through my book, I tend to keep my photos away from the center of the page so that they can't hide from me, if you will, whether I use the flat lay book or the standard gutter. Over here. So I assume this is their better priced flat lay book here. Or maybe not. I've got one of these too, and I'm not impressed with it. I can't really tell which one's which, to be honest with you. And then you got to pick what type of cover you want. I go with the hard cover. Can't tell you why, I just do. If you want to make it really fancy, you can go with a premium leather cover. I do put photos on the cover, and that's, unless you go with the leather book, there's no extra charge in putting a photo on the cover, both the front cover and the back cover. And I've not done this. You can pay extra and get what they're calling professional printing. Their standard printing, at least for my purposes, is certainly good enough. When I look at the prints in the book, they look just like the prints would have been if I had gone to MPEX and gotten a good print from them. Yeah, don't really bother with these particular specials, but you can obviously fancy up the book if you want to. The sizes that are available, I do the 11 by 14. Personal choice, obviously, how big you want to go, or what aspect ratio. And then they have different styles. Again, if you want to personalize the book. Again, mine's completely manual. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to show you there. So I'm going to go up and find my book. Okay, so I made a copy of this so I don't screw it up completely. Just showing this to you. No, don't want to do that. Morton doesn't like that I didn't change my password. So back cover and front cover. And you can put some text on the spine of the book as well. I'm going to go through the book really quickly, but what I want to show you down here is just like any type of software where you're putting your photos, you just upload them into Shutterfly. And so I uploaded a total of 167 photos. So in this case, I actually did the selection process from here rather than doing the selection process back on my computer and just sending up the 65 that I ended up with. In a lot of cases, it was because I might have a couple of different aspect ratios of the same photo, and I might decide as I'm putting the book together whether I need a particular aspect ratio in a particular page to kind of fill it in so it looks halfway decent. So basically, it's a drag and drop feature. Let me go into the page here. So again, this is my book. So let's assume that I wanted to go ahead and add another page. Here's an add page up here. So I would add a page. It's suggesting that you add 2 pages at a time, only so a lot of times in your pages, you want some similarity maybe between the left side and the right side page. So if you add 2, you won't break up any continuity that you had put into the photo book previously. And I don't think I did that right. Because I only got one there. Okay, well, I thought I was asking, oh, I didn't check the box. Okay, doesn't matter. In this case, it added them, kind of split the book, if you will. But if I want to add a photo here, basically I can just drag it in and then adjust the size, add a text box. And what I do, I'm not sure if you can read these things. I don't think there's a way for me to enlarge this. Oh, yes, there is. Put this down. So I put some real simple captions on them. If I can find it here. So this one, depends on the photo, whether I put a title. A lot of times it's just the name of the location. And then in this case, nearest town. So Mountain Stream in Winter, Lynn Run State Park, Rector, PA. So I try to do that with all of the photos in the book itself. Take this back down. Okay. Over on this side, there's layouts that you can pick from. So let me go to another page here. So I got a blank page here, and I can get a kind of like a sample layout of the photos, depending on how many I want to put on this page. So in this case, here's just one photo per page layouts. And then here's if you want to put 2 photos on or 3 photos on. So let's say, just for talking purposes, I pick this one. That gives me the layout for the 3 photos. And then I can just come up and populate the sections. This works out size-wise. So there's my new page. And again, I can go ahead then and add text boxes to the photos. And there's a text box. You can type in whatever you want and drag the thing around and put it where you want on the book page. That's pretty much it. I'm going to just run through this real quickly just to get an idea how it's laid out. Whoops, I'll go back. So there's the covers. And again, lay out the thing how you want it. In this first section are general interest photos. The only real text, I put what I call an author's note here. I just list what camera lens that I use for the majority of the photos in the book itself. So just go through, I'm considering these general interest photos. And then I've got what I consider my landscape photo section. And then there's street photography. Not too many of those last year. And then again, what I call close-up photos. And then black and whites. So where I added those pages, I think I think maybe this would have been actually over here in the original book. But black and white photos. And then pictures of each of the 9 grandkids that we have. I try to get a photo of them doing something that they enjoy when I can. And then accomplishments page. And that's it. So any questions as far as the how-to on this goes?
Jim, when you bring those in, they're all JPEGs, right? When you load them onto the website.
JPEGs, yes.
How big are they? How big are the files typically?
I think they don't need to be full size. I scale them down, but to be honest, Rob, I don't recall how much I scale them down. But there's no reason you can't upload your full size image.
I always struggle with that. I'm always afraid to scale it back. I think I'm going to lose something. I don't know what to do. So
say that again.
I'm always afraid to scale it back. I'm afraid I'll scale it back too much. So
Oh, okay. Well, so when I scale back, I mean, from Capture One, I'm quote exporting the scaled down photos into a folder. And then from that folder is where I'm uploading them here into Shutterfly.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you get a PDF book also along with it?
Do you know what? I never have, but somewhere when I was looking the other day preparing the
Right.
so here's yeah, you can export it as a PDF.
Okay.
Which, and maybe the reason you're asking, Perry, you mentioned you use Blurb. I think in Blurb you can upload PDFs and just print it out, if you will.
Right. And so in Blurb, after you get the book, they give you the option for $5 more. They'll create a PDF and send it to you.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. In this case, I think, well, I've never done it, so I couldn't tell whether they would charge me for this or not, but you can export it as a PDF.
Right. I think the 50% deal is pretty good. I think I should try it this weekend.
It doesn't, so you saw me, I made a copy of last year's book. At the end of this year, when I do the 2023, I'll actually make a copy of this one because it's and it saves me some time because for the title, the spine, all the text boxes are certain fonts and colors and whatnot that I like to keep from year to year. So rather than having to recreate them, I just kind of keep them in place and then just edit them as necessary. It saves me a little bit of time that way. Oh, the other thing I mentioned before about the gutter. So this grayed out area is kind of showing you a representation of if you want to keep your photo out of the gutter area, this might be a good place to line it up. So that's typically what I do. I won't pull a photo into the gutter area just so I don't block the view. But if you're doing a lay flat book, it doesn't really matter. You can expand the size of the photo however you want.
That's nice, Jim. It keeps a nice record of your photographs rather than putting them in an SD card or in your computer where no one will see them, you know?
Yeah, that's the whole purpose, Bob.
That's the whole purpose. Very good, very good. Kudos to you, Jim.
Well, it's easy to do, and it's it's one of those kind of personally rewarding things to do.
Right.
Have you tried an iPad app or something? Do they have an app where you can do it on the app instead of on PC? On a iPad?
Well, you're saying Shutterfly?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is just a website. I assume you can get it on any computer you want. I assume so.
No, I was checking if they had an app, Shutterfly app, where I can organize the book and do it all on my iPad rather than. So I'll find out.
You want to do it actually on your laptop? You're saying, not on the web.
Right, on the iPad.
Okay.
Because I have all my photos on my iPad, so I just find it easier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
You just use Safari and go to shutterfly.com.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
He's not actually doing it separately. He's just doing it right there.
Oh, I get it. Fine.
Sorry, my shepherd's knocking things over.
What did you do? Okay, any other questions or comments?
Thanks, Jim. Very informative. Good. And I like the approach. Very nice. Very nice.
Jim, how long have you been doing
Except
this?
for that picture with the guy, except for that picture with the guy with the camera there in the middle. I'm not so sure about that.
This guy here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, to be honest with you, the reason he's there, and now this may seem not necessary, but each year, Pat is really good. So this is a photo that Pat would have taken. She's standing around waiting for me to take a photo somewhere. And I typically try to match the cover photo with the same location that we were at on typically there are vacation trips. So this one here was at Shenandoah National Park, the two of us at a waterfall. This is me somewhere in Shenandoah National Park. And each year I pick a location and do the exact same thing with the cover photos.
That's pretty cool.
Alrighty, thank you.
Nice, Jim.
Good job.
Thanks.
You've inspired us.
I hope that was the whole point.
Yeah, nice presentation.
Yeah, very
Yes.
nice.
I have some samples. I was thinking, I could, at the next IHOP, what I'll do is I have did a book of one of our cruises. We did I think it was a 14-day back-to-back cruise. And Carol actually took videos, and we were able to capture some of the frames from the video to make small pictures where we had a large number of them on the page. And we had a docent who was actually doing the talking. So from the video and the talking, she was able to create like this is when we were going around it was in the Miami Marina. Outside the Miami Marina, there are a number of personalities that live along in these very beautiful homes in that isolated area. And he would have the names of the people, and so who belonged, the mansion, and who belonged to, who owned it at that particular time. Anyway, we have a cruise album that has some interesting details in it. And I belong to a group of Foreign Service employees who every couple of years would have a reunion in a different city. And their name is the Beachcombers. And so we would have a Beachcombers reunion. And since I was the go-to guy for photography, I would almost always be doing the photo coverage. And I produced a reunion book for all of us to have who wanted to buy one. We would have it made. And I still have some samples. And what I'll do is at the next IHOP, I will be sure to bring the cruise book and the Beachcombers reunion book. And you can have a look and see what you think.
That would be nice.
Mhm.
That'd be cool. Hey,
Okay.
Jim, just a quick question. From the time you're finished with your book and you send it to print, how long does it usually take for a round trip for you to have the book in your hand?
Shutterfly over the years has gotten better, is what I can tell you.
Okay.
So Brian, do you use MPix like for prints, or
I use Miller's, but it's
the same company? So
Yeah.
MPix,
Mill-
like, I mean, if I sent for enlargements, I sometimes get them, I swear, the next day, if not the next day, 2 days.
Oh,
That's not going to
Miller's.
happen. That's not going to happen with your photo book.
okay. I said,
Miller's-
I sent out last Monday, I sent out an enlargement for something. I had it at my house on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And I didn't send it out till about 6 o'clock at night on Monday.
I'm thinking 2 weeks. It might be shorter than 2 weeks. Maybe sometimes it's longer, but
Okay.
it's longer than 1 week.
That's not too bad though. I mean, it's not months is what I was
It's not
getting at,
months,
so.
no.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Miller's produced these albums that I'll have.
Okay. Very good. Well, guys, that brings us right up to about 9 o'clock. So that was a good meeting tonight.
Mhm.
I thank you all for participating and everybody for having their little parts. I guess the next, let me look at my notes again real quick. The next thing that we have is actually the Photoshop class next Thursday. And then following Monday is the WPS meeting. Oh, and by the way, the Renaissance Festival has started. I was down there on Sunday. I got home real late Saturday night. I got up early Sunday and said, I'm going to go to the Renaissance Festival. And I drove down there and Who do I run into but Beth? So we've got our first Sunday in already. So we'll put together. I got to figure out which weekend it is, but the crack show, I know those of you that go, the crack show. If you don't know it, you should know it. The crack show is only going to be there for 5 weeks, so their last weekend will probably be the one that I set up as a group photo walk to the photo show, or to the Renaissance show, I should say. But I got to figure out which one that is, and we'll go from there. But I see Beth changed her background to a Renaissance picture already. I have not yet to take mine off of the cards yet, onto the computer. So I might tell my computer to do that here in a minute after we're done with the meeting, while it's processing this video. But anyhow, so that'll be coming up. I'll let you all know when we're going to go as a group. I won't be there this weekend at all. I've got some other stuff planned. I'll be out of town, but probably next weekend I will be there on Sunday again. So anyhow, just wanted to let you know about that. And that's all I got. Anybody else has anything else before we finish up?
Yeah, I do. Beth, you changed pictures sometime during the evening there.
Couple times.
What happened? Oh, okay, a couple
times.
So you kind of got a show going on in the background. We got to watch out for that. Okay.
Beth's playing her own photo book in the background. DL, you said you had something?
Yeah, if anyone needs like an external drive, I dropped a couple links in the chat. So you can get an external enclosure and then put the drive inside it, use it, take the drive out of the enclosure, put another one in, keep filling it up that way. It's another way to do backups. And it's relatively cheap. It's like, I think, $60 for a terabyte, 120 for 2 terabytes.
It is.
There you go, guys.
And they're fast SSDs.
And SSD is the way to go.
Yep. Well, that's what they did to my laptop. Not he did to my laptop. And it really works great, but it's topped out. It just, Adobe Photoshop has just gone beyond what it can do. I tried loading the beta program and it said no. It said your graphic card sucks.
Well, sounds like it's some time for some upgrades, and DL knows
the
guy to do that.
I've been trying to be nice to Carol, and maybe I can get one.
And there are SSD drives which don't have any cable, so it sort of plugs in straight.
That's an NVMe drive.
I'm sorry?
That's an NVMe drive. As long as your motherboard has a slot for that, you can use them. If not, what I sent you will work.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at that, the first link that he sent you is a enclosure to put the hard drive into. I've done that before where I actually did that with a hard drive that went bad. I took the hard drive out and then started putting other hard drives in it from time to time and just replaced and kept using the enclosure. So. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to, I guess, say goodnight. I'll post this video as soon as it finishes processing, and I'll get it posted up. All the other ones are posted, I believe. I think I'm all caught up on getting the meeting videos posted. So they're up there on the YouTube channel if you're missing anything or you want to recap any of them. So, all right.
Okay, when is IHOP next? When is it a Wednesday now? We're doing Wednesdays?
No, 17th.
17th. Okay.
Number 17th. Yep. Or no.
No.
Talk about it September 21st.
Okay. September 21.
Yeah.
Got it.
The 17th is the photo walk at Frick Museum.
Sunday. Okay, got it.
All right. Okay, guys.
Good night, Brian. Thank you.
All right. Good night. Thank you all.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Good night.